Hey Bearcat fans, welcome to another edition of This Week in Bearcat Athletics. Well, the Northwest Missouri State men's and women's basketball teams are in the final month of the regular season. For the Bearcat men, they're looking to battle for a regular season conference championship, while the Northwest women looking to make postseason play. With all that going on, spring sports making their way south to try to get opportunities to get out on the field. Track and field continues as well, with the MIAA championships coming up at the end of the month. We'll have more on all of that coming up on This Week in Bearcat Athletics. Northwest Missouri State's men's basketball team enters the week in a three-way tie for first place in the MIAA and on the longest current winning streak in the league at 4 games. The Cats, Central Missouri, and Lindenwood all interplay this week with 10-4 conference records, and Northwest will face both of those teams one more time before the end of the regular season. But before either of those games, the Bearcats will play Missouri Southern at home Wednesday in their only game this week. Last Saturday, the Cats got point guard Justin Pitts back into the lineup. He had missed time with injury. Bearcat head coach Ben McCullum says with Pitts out, his team was able to build some depth.
Well, I think it gives those other guys confidence to know they can come in the game and really impact the game. And then when he comes back, he's still at about probably 75%, but he can really shoot it. And what those guys can do is drive. Those other two, Lyle and Anthony, excellent drivers, can put a lot of pressure on your defense. Justin can space it, so now they can drive a little bit more with Justin as a spacer, and that helps a ton. Defensively, offensively, depth, just being able to play hard throughout a whole game because now you've got guys behind you that you trust makes a big difference.
Missouri Southern won the first matchup between the two in Joplin last month. The Cats play 3 of its last 5 regular season games at Bearcat Arena. If the season ended today, the Northwest Missouri State women's basketball team would be in the MIAA postseason tournament, but with 5 games to play, there is very little room for error. The Cats are 12th in the standings, a half game ahead of Southwest Baptist and 2 games ahead of Lindenwood, but they are only a game or less behind the 3 teams in front of them. Northwest women's basketball coach Michael Smith says if his team wants to keep its place in the tournament, they're going to have to do it with defense down the stretch.
Well, we've got to get better at the fine details. There's still a couple of things defensively. We've kind of fallen off a little bit defensively the last couple of games. So we've got to get back to playing defense the way that we're capable of. I feel like at the beginning of the season, wasn't necessarily winning a lot of basketball games, but I thought we were taking a lot of pride in our defense, and we've gotten away from that. So to make this stretch run, I guess you could say here, we've got to really concentrate. I feel like offensively, we're starting to click on all cylinders. We've tried to insert a couple of different things right now, but defensively, that's got to be your mainstay.
Wednesday's game against Missouri Southern is the Pink Zone game at Bearcat Arena. Cancer awareness and fundraising is one goal of the night. There will be a silent auction during the game, with proceeds going toward Jade Wilmus and the Wilmus family to assist in the costs of her treatment. St. Francis Hospital and Health Services will also be on hand with educational material. The Bearcat baseball team traveled to Alba, Oklahoma to open the season last weekend. After dropping the opening 2 games, the Cats bounced back to beat Northwestern Oklahoma 16-4 on Sunday. One of the highlights of the weekend for Northwest was freshman Nick Howard from Garden Grove, California. Howard hit home runs in his first 2 at-bats as a Bearcat. Northwest will travel to Lawton, Oklahoma for a 4-game weekend series against Cameron University this weekend. On the softball diamond, Northwest will open the season this weekend with 6 games as part of the Arkansas Monticello 8-State Classic in Bentonville. 9 Northwest Missouri State track and field athletes competed at the Frank Savine Husker Invitational in Lincoln last weekend. Senior Alexis Boyd changed the Northwest record book, setting a new school standard in the 400-meter dash with a 56.13. It is also the fastest time in that event this season in the MIAA. Other highlights include Kelsey Lacey setting a personal best in the 60-meter hurdles and Nolan Zimmer finishing 5th in the 5,000-meter run. The track and field teams will be in Seward, Nebraska Thursday for the Concordia Invitational before tune-up events next week in preparation for the MIAA championships at the end of the month. That's This Week in Bearcat Athletics. I'm Matt Gaarder.